Without question, one of the most spectacular settings you'll find anywhere on the NHRA circuits, the Mile High Nationals, just outside of Denver, Colorado. And right now, Steve Evans has a special guest.
Gary, I'm with Wally Parks, and Wally is founder and chairman of the board of the National High Road Association. It has got to be thrilling for you to see the flurry of racetrack activity over the last couple of years. Houston, Dallas, Topeka, Atlanta, and now Denver with a super track.
Well, it's something that nobody ever dreamed of in advance, and I think that this one is the absolute epitome of what we've been trying to do to convert drag racing into a theater type of entertainment. This one is just unbelievable.
And it shows that the track operators have tremendous confidence in NHRA drag racing. $3.5 million here alone.
Well, they do have that, but Denver is an awfully good market. We've known that for a long time. I think this track is an impossible dream come true, because to carve something out of a mountain and make it into this kind of an arena is just absolutely more than anybody could ever hope for.
Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
There's something else new on the NHRA scene. It's a 24-hour telephone hotline that you can call 7 days a week and get all the inside information on NHRA Championship drag racing. It is 1-900-468-NHRA. Engrave it on your brain. 1-900-468-NHRA. Gary?
Time now, Steve, for Top Fuel semifinal competition, and our first pair features Joe Amato and Dick LaHaye. LaHaye in the near lane. Remember, he had problems in the earlier rounds. Amato has been strong. He comes into the competition as the number 2 qualifier.
And he is seated in a car that some other racers have called a dinosaur, an antique. Here, maybe we can see how much shorter it is than Dick LaHaye's car. LaHaye's machine is built to that maximum 300 inches. A beautiful start. A tremendous drag race.
Oh, impossible to tell from that angle who won. Had to go with the lights, and Amato ends up with a victory in nearly identical times. 5:22 for each man.
One of the most even starts I have ever seen in drag racing, but I noticed that Dick LaHaye's front end did a little porpoising action on the starting line. I imagine that he has taken a lot of weight out of the front of that car, because Dick LaHaye is very weight conscious. This gives him more available horsepower to drive the car, but he might pay a price with that front end dangling out there like that. He could jump over the finish line lights, because notice how close they are to the ground, and that's just exactly what he does. You can see light under the car.
With all the variables in this drag racing sport, the clutches, tire slippage, engines, one of the closest races in history, you have just won by 2 1/1000ths of a second.
I didn't think I won, Steve.
You won.
Close.
You won. You both ran 5:22. You left right together. You couldn't have known.
It was so close. I had no idea.
And here comes Dick LaHaye.
Longer than mine, you know. I'm sitting back there looking at it, buddy.
Hey, we just put on a typical LaHaye Amato show.
Oh, God. I was sitting here in my car feeling sorry for myself, saying I should have got a better light. I like his car is 30 inches longer than mine. And
You got the dinosaur.
I got the dinosaur. I got this old chariot with the wheelbarrow.
Well, he's got the flathead engine, so you're even.
It's a sea-level engine, you know. Good luck.
Thank you.
I love these interviews when I don't have to say anything.
By the rules, it's a racer's responsibility to break the beam, and certainly Dick LaHaye had no problem with that. Amato, by the squeakiest of margins, advances. And we get set now for our next semifinal round. Gary Ormsby against Laurie Johns. Ormsby, the season points leader, works from the far lane.
It's certainly going to be a hard act to follow, that LaHaye Amato race.
Oh, I know. And Laurie Johns, Gary Ormsby has been beating on her like a drum all season long. Every time she gets to the semis, it looks like she's really going to make some progress in the sport. She runs up against the man from Roseville, California, and he just bumps her.
As usual, Laurie Johns is overstayed to get that extra inch down the drag strip.
But they leave right together. Gary Ormsby, far lane, defeats Laurie Johns. 5:22 to a 5:27. Laurie leads with top speed of the entire event, 271.65 miles per hour.
Well, it looks like you're tied for ET for that lane choice.
Well, I'll tell her, we were really pleased that Amato took LaHaye out. Dick's close to us in the points, so we were really kind of rooting for him. We'll race Amato for the finals here. I hope that it'll turn out to be our day.
So the pairing for the final now complete. Ormsby goes against Amato, and by 2 1/1000ths of a second, lane choice goes to Joe Amato. It just can't be any closer than that. Funny car action coming up in a moment. In a day of sensational racing in the Mile High Nationals, we cannot forget this dramatic run yesterday. In a qualifying run, funny car competition, Don Gay Jr. had to endure this flaming inferno and explosion that devastated his car. He had been rendered unconscious when he hit the left side wall in a side-by-side run with Don Prudhomme. But amazingly, in this late footage from the hospital, Don Gay is recovering from burns of the trachea, back, and arms, but he is expected to make a full and complete recovery.
This was Don Gay Jr.'s second serious funny car accident, one in the alcohol ranks and the one we just saw. And people were close to the family. Well, there is some doubt as to whether he would return to drag racing competition. We'll just wait and see.
Ready now for the funny car semifinal. Bruce Larson goes against Ed McCulloch. The burnouts are complete. Larson, backing his entry into position, has the lane choice. He's elected to go from the near side of the track.
And remember, Larson and crew have their feet to the fire. They must win every round if they want to keep up. That's the only way they're going to stay ahead of Bernstein in these points.
And just like round number 2, Bernstein can see from back in the staging lane. And you know he's saying, come on, Ace. Just do me one little favor here, will you? Get rid of that guy from Pennsylvania. And McCulloch, he doesn't need any encouragement from Bernstein to want to do that. He needs the points desperately himself.
And this is only the midpoint of the season, so this looks like it could be a battle that'll endure to the bitter end.
Ed McCulloch was off the mark first, but look at the power of Bruce Larson. Larson thunders across one of the best performances of this event. 5.54 seconds, 249 miles per hour. McCulloch fell off to a 5.91. Don's with the winning crew chief.
5.54.
Boy, we needed that, and to head into this final, you know, it's going to be a dogfight. Either one of them cars we got to face are really performing well here, and I'm glad to see where our performance step up a little bit.
Well, that's a fantastic run. That's just 100th off the absolute record here.
Well, we knew we had to get after a little bit to beat McCulloch. He put a job on us at Englishtown. Thank you.
An appreciative crowd acknowledging the effort of Larson and the return of his teammate Joe Amato on the return road as we take another look at this match between McCulloch and Larson.
McCulloch makes a storybook start, and it looks like he's going to be able to handle Larson. And all of a sudden, you'll notice some fuel starts to come out of the pipes of McCulloch's car. That's a sign it's dropping cylinders, and that's all Larson needed. And the power pulls right on out in front and train lengths him to a beautiful 5.54.
And already led for the second half of the semifinals is Mark Oswald in the bright red Ford Probe, and he's up against, I don't have to tell anybody watching, Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein, the same deal. The pressure back on him again. Larson continues to earn points. 200 around.
And Oswald, a man who hasn't won uncharacteristically this year, has been in the finals twice, lost both of them to Kenny Bernstein.
A perfect start. No advantage off the line. And look at Oswald. Car owner Paul Candy says that's the one we needed. Oh my. Low elapsed time of the entire event. 5.50, 258 miles per hour.
And once again, we're seeing another terrific run here in the Mile High Nationals.
One of the most perfect starts in funny car I've seen in years. The cars came off the line tied together. But that motor designed by Leonard Hughes began to make some serious horsepower and shoved that car out in front of Bernstein. I bet he didn't know what hit him. Look at that thing go. 550 on top of this mountain. What a run.
And here was the margin of victory for Mark Oswald, just over a car length, as he now goes to the funny car finals against Bruce Larson, and Oswald will have lane choice. Oswald is now with Steve Evans.
The first one over here to congratulate Mark Oswald was Bruce Larson, and for very good reasons, you have put out Kenny Bernstein.
Yeah, it's a tight battle between all of us. I'm sure Bruce would have rather seen me win, but I'll tell you what, the probe's running good today. I feel real good about it.
You should feel good about a 5.50, the best we've seen today.
Yeah, I figured that. It felt real good. We just kind of went back to the way it was first round, and we've just been tweaking the other end a little bit. It's spinning the tires, but it's getting down through there.
Lane choice?
Yeah, it might be a hard decision. I think the track got a lot better, you know, as the heat went away today.
Oh, boy, what a final this is going to be. A 50 to a 54.
And Mark Oswald in position now to get that elusive first victory of the 1989 campaign. Coming up, the Pro Stock semifinals. We'll have that action for you in just a moment.
Park Parts Mile High Nationals. That is Ricky Smith in the blue Trans Am, Jerry Ekman in the yellow Trans Am. Now, Ekman has watched Ricky Smith have his way with Butch Leal and Larry Morgan, pole-shotting both of them, so they move up to pre-stage. Nobody's moving, Don Garlits.
Well, both drivers know the advantage of staging last at 6,000 feet, so nobody wants to go in first.
Either driver wants to put his motor on high C, stage first, and then wait for the other racer to stage. So they're both just sitting there at idle. Starter Buster Couch starting to get a little fidgety himself. In fact, Buster looks over at Ekman. Hey, Buster's having a good time with this, too.
Buster has shut these pro stocks off earlier this year for this.
Now, Ekman has moved forward and staged. Smith still sits there.
Look, Buster's counting him out.
Buster could have thrown the light. Had Smith not moved in, Smith would automatically got a red. Side by side after a green light start. Oh, boy. It is Jerry Ekman and the Bill Orndorff Trans Am at 792 to Ricky Smith 794. The racing just gets better and better regardless of the category.
Smith knew he had to have a starting line advantage because Ekman had run better than him by about 0.04 of a second in the previous round. And I'm surprised that he was able to do as good a job with Buster standing over there giving him the 1, 2, 3 count. But Ekman had a little bit more power down course, not much, but just enough to squeak out in front of Smith for the win.
Terrific battle between a couple of the low qualifiers. Ekman came in number 12, Smith number 14, but Ekman, by that slim margin, prevails and advances to the finals. Steve is now with the winner.
How long were you willing to wait for him to stage?
Well, I was just trying to be sportsmanlike. I thought he was having trouble.
Come on.
Well, I figured I went to where I thought was the limit. You know, I saw Buster getting a little irritated, so I haven't raced Ricky before, but I know he always likes to stage last, and I thought I needed every advantage I could have.
Good run, 794.
Thank you very much, Steve. Look for you in the final.
Okay, we'll be here. We may talk again.
I hope so.
Love that wink. Ekman clearly having a great time as we get set now for our other semifinal pairing and a chance to go back inside the Ford Probe with defending champion Bob Glidden, a man who has absolutely owned this racetrack over the years.
Well, you know, you saw all those levers. Don Garlits, what would happen if you pulled the wrong one?
Well, I'll tell you, you just park out there big time. In fact, there's one of them you can pull, you go backwards.
Okay, here's Bruce Allen. Ford versus Chevrolet. Allen in the Beretta. Glidden fidgeting around, getting set in his Ford Probe. They're off. You can see through the window the Beretta of Bruce Allen. It stays there right alongside Bob Glidden. Now it drifts back, almost a full car length. Glidden goes into the final round against Jerry Ekman.
A 783 for Bob Glidden, who's won here 5 times in the past, 175 miles per hour against Allen's 788. So the pairing for the Pro Stock final, Glidden against Ekman, and by virtue of that run moments ago, Glidden gets lane choice. Gary Ormsby's crew, Lee Beard, the crew chief, hard at work, preparing now for the Top Fuel final. It'll be Ormsby, the season points leader, against 2-time champion Joe Amato.